What? Come on. I had that set up perfectly. Let's try again. I did not resize my window. Come on. Record. All right. Thank you for tuning in. If anybody knows how to remove the black bar that says sharing this tab, I would like to know how to remove it. Please let me know. I'm kind of annoyed. Anyway, get what you're trying to do, Chrome. Just doesn't help. Let's talk about all these different time frames and what's so important. All right, first of all, we had our macro level mean inversion condition completed. Woo, that's so great. We entered the mean inversion over here, and I thought, it's just volatility overhead. It doesn't matter. Nope, just kidding. We completed it. We completed the mean inversion in like a lateral condition, and then we just, bam, trending mean inversion in one candle. We got that smacked down real hard. Anyway, let's look at the lower time frames, because we actually have some decent information down here. And I am going to have to do the 2 hour chart. Why the 2 hour? Because Wave PM maxes out on the 600 value with the way I have it currently set up. And yes, I can change it. Just don't want to do that right now. 500 period, right? Because why do that when I can just change the time frame for the exact same results, right? Because the look back period is still defined in 100 candles, and if that's the case and we had the same relative volatility in that same time span, then our longest overexpanded period is pretty much just going to be roughly the same. So why bother, right? So longest overexpanded period is 500 at this current time, and the pivot is just so far away at 9,200. Why would I even bother trying to set that up anyway, right? Our trend defining pivot is $1,000 above price. All right, just leave it alone. It's 12% away. Trend is down until we are inside that pivot. However, there is implied trend exhaustion because of volatility overhead, which we can now look at on the 15-minute chart quite accurately. Let's take a zoom in over here. Wow, what is going on? That does not look the way I left it. All right, well, we had really good compression ranges up until today. I'm not sure what's happening there. Anyway, first compression range held just fine. We tagged 3.2 to the downside, which caused a new expansion, which birthed a new compression range, which we got a short entry right there at 9,000 or 8,200. And we've been sitting on that since, right? If we look in our Discord channel and we pull up the call section, it's like, hey, right here at 3 p.m. MST, consider a short position because we are tagging the 3.2 of the locks on a compressionary range, which does provide a very good short-term reversal. If you took that position, we would currently be sitting, boom, 3%. That's good. Just as here, if we took this position, boom, that would have been 4%. So all in all, I considered this a good short entry. I might take some small profit right now just because, this is a short-term condition in a macro level trend, and I'm sure we're just going to get more short-term entries in the near future. So I don't want to crowd that. Let's see if volatility overhead looks a little bit better here on the 1 hour chart. Yeah. So because we're not counting that overexpansion on the previous time frame, why? Well, it has to do with period look back, right? Because we are still in the context of the previous downtrend. We aren't registering this drop here as an overexpansion, right? Because overexpansion is defined by relative previous volatility. So if we're on the 15-minute chart and we're using a 100 candle look back, this counts as significant trend because it's over 100 candles. Whereas if we are on the 1 hour chart, this does not count as trend because our period look back is registering this drop as part of the implied volatility. See what happens there? That's why if you're looking at shorter term moves in the context of larger trends, it is better to go to a micro time frame or to adjust the look back period on your wave PM, which is a lot more finicky and I don't recommend it. So just change your time frame. Please just do that. Anyway, 1 hour chart based on our compression of the longer term trend, we'd get some very nice readings, right? Based on volatility overhead here. Beautiful. So pretty much what this is saying is we're defining a range based on what we believe is capable to be expanded, right? I know that sounds vague, but I've given this analogy too many times. I'm not doing it again. Watch my previous videos or go ahead and check the indicator playlist out in my YouTube channel. It will explain the vocabulary a little bit more in depth than I have today. All right, because I just want to get into the meat of this instead of giving the same old analogy. Anyway, right, because we don't expect new expansion, we would believe these pivots here to hold relatively well. Again, with our locks being at 9,200, if we do, for some godforsaken reason, spike up to the 9,000 to 9,200 range, that would be my short area. I would attempt shorts. Because this is yellow here, that means it's maxed out, right? Which is why we went to the 2-hour chart. So this pivot here is actually registering up here for 9,200, okay? And what we're caring about is the compression range here on the 1-hour chart, which is that green line there. So this is my short range, 9,000 to 9,200. Of course, the slope of that is going to go down. So tomorrow it's going to be like 9,100 to 9,000. And it's going to keep on getting tighter. And then, of course, if we just don't touch that range and we see a trend continuation, cool. I'd probably bet on that as well if I could. Actually, I'm currently betting on that. Right, with my short entry on the 15-minute chart from yesterday. You know, when we see this kind of compression after a short entry, I'm a little hesitant to stay in the position. Like, sure, we might get trend resumption. Oh, God, that's so ugly. I don't know what's happening there. But I'm hesitant. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give me all the coins to look at. I know somebody wants me to look at EOS. I'm going to take a look at BCH, BTC real quick. Make sure you get those comments in. Ooh, that's volatility pop to the upside, eh? Nice. That is generating an expansion. We can define trend on that, so let's take a look. All right. Come on. Oh. There we go with that period look back again. I'll just do it manually. Compression range short, which is pretty cool because the compression range is still registering correctly based on this slope here. So when he tags the 3.2 standard deviation on this upside, which is this green squibble here, is a theoretical short entry. Just the problem stems from... Oh, are we actually registering that correctly? I can't tell. It's a bit muddy. It's like the actual indicator's too much information right now. So we're just going to do it manually because 3D Wave PM lets us do that. We're going to look at the 450 period. It's going to look good. Show me what you got. And just so you guys know, I am moving over the next week. So things are going to be a bit cluttered, both schedule-wise and what I'm actually doing wise. So now you know. Anyway, 450. Did I set that to 450? Wait a second. What? That's on the 1.25 standard deviation? This, oh, wow. I'm going to have to think about this. That is so bizarre. It's not 450, it's 250. Okay, I thought I was going crazy. It's like there's no way we're generating an overexpansion while we're still inside the 1.25 standard deviation. It's just impossible. Like, it cannot happen. So, there we go, that makes sense. Alright, that's why we're generating expansion, because we're outside the 1.25 standard deviation on the 250 period. That looks good. Alright, trend defining pivot is currently at 2723. That's still super far away. Although it is rising rapidly. I am inclined to consider this a short entry because the test of the 3.2 on the LOXP. I would also have to check if there's macro level mean reversion based on this previous plume here, because there is implied expansion, and if that implied expansion is participating in a longer term mean reversion, well, then that's just bullish, flatten out. Okay, so like here we're looking at the to... Oh, that's pretty cool. 250 on this period as well. Yeah, so this is bullish. I changed my mind. You should not short this. You should be instead looking for trend re-entry based on the 15-minute chart. With currently, if price were to dip exactly to 2725, I would immediately buy that. Alternatively, you can also just set up the 250 1.25 standard deviation on your chart. Just a regular Bollinger Band, and if it touches that line, buy. That's it. All right, and if you go inside, then you can short, which is the best part about the strategy. It's an either or, right? If one happens, if the condition's activated, it will happen, and if it's unactivated, it won't, which is really good. Like, the chances of conditions failing are pretty low. It's just like a 50-50 chance while you're directly on the pivot, and then, you know, the losses from the strategy are a result from you not being able to take a position both directions at the same time. Like, you can with stop losses on either side, but that's really technical and something I save for my course, which you can check in the link in the description. It's 6 hours of me ranting about every single tool on this chart and how I use it in depth. I'm selling my edge. Beautiful. All right, let's check out EOS. All right. No new comments. Cool. I'm going to check EOS and then we'll be done for the day if there's nothing else new. Man, I hate looking at EOS. Why did I decide to do this? I can never read the EOS chart. It makes no sense to me. So the volatility readings are trash like all the time. Like, we just get volatility overhead here, a double plume here. I need to categorize these terms I'm using, or like write them down. Because volatility overhead as just right expansion not connected to the ground, that's volatility overhead. In terms of plumes of mass, double expansion is when you re-expand something that was already overexpanded from a previous move. In this case, we started a downward expansion, but then it changed to an upward expansion, which is not healthy price action and generally results in short-lived trend, which happened to be the case in this scenario. This plume of mass here is like the only clean thing I see. And this is just a mess here. Because, like, you get the overexpansion and then you start re-expanding it, like, immediately. I don't know. I do not like trading EOS. Well, the micro time frames are super choppy and volatile and super affected by news I don't care to look into. And just by that fault alone, I am not inclined to trade it. There are things that do what I want them to do. This is not one of them. Sure, I could probably develop a strategy around trading EOS, but what's the point when I have something that works elsewhere? Anyway, let's check the comments one last time. Question for you, Dad Shark. Why would I trade off a BCH BTC chart versus BCH USD chart? That's excellent. Great question. Personally, I trade off the Bitcoin chart because adding USD to the pairing, right? So like BCH USD adds the variable of Bitcoin's price, right? The more variables you add, the more volatile your price action, right? So, and it's pretty typical that altcoins are super derivative on Bitcoin's price action, and you typically want to trade the divergence from that price action, which is another rant that I could go on. But I just have FBTC here and FUSD here, right? Because if I put, let's watch this. No, too many lines. Go away. Good. All right, so we're just going to compare. We're on FUSD. We're going to add FBTC and BTC USD. Okay. Oh, nice. There's 3 scales I can play with. That's pretty cool. So, the orange line is Ethereum's actual price action. And then FUSD is just Ethereum's price action filtered through Bitcoin's price action. So, you're adding unnecessary steps. Like, you can trade Bitcoin and you can trade Ethereum, but, like, imagine trying to swing a baseball bat that has a hinge in the middle, All right. You can see how that might be a little bit more hard to do than just swinging a regular baseball bat. Like, sure, if you decide to be really skilled in that particular art of swinging hinged baseball bats, cool. Power to you. That's awesome. And what's nice is that volatility theory will still respect derivative pairs. Like, a cat with charts did something pretty crazy. He looked at like super derivative pairs that are just traded exclusively by bots, like FXRP. XRPF. Yeah, that's it. Right? So this is an entirely derivative chart traded exclusively by bots, and yet it still respects the rules of volatility theory relatively well. Which is the nice thing about this strategy. All right, let's just see how ACAT loads on this. Because honestly, I would rather trade this than the EOS chart. Because here, at least we have clean over expansions, volatility overhead is respected, trend is defined, counter trend is poignant. Let's just wait for ACAT to load. I want to see what it looks like. Because like this overexpansion here is just so clean, and I'm sure the mean reversion pivot's going to be perfect, as well as the compression area range for the duration. Wow, that's just beautiful. Because like trend resumption can technically begin here, and then with this new plume of downward expansion coupled with the bearish weighting implies new downtrend. Like, I don't know why you would be trading this pair, but you can really effectively. And then if you're looking at the CLCP2, the 3.2 standard deviations on it are still really well respected. It's honestly pretty cool to look at. Right? Like this rejection here, this bounce here, these two rejections here. Like this range trading that is defined is just so clean. It's absolutely absurd. Anyway, hope that answers your question. Like, my strategy allows you to trade derivative pairs. It's just, in my opinion, better not to. All right, that's it for today, guys. I love you. I will talk to you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. MST. Wait, tomorrow's Sunday. No, I won't. I'm hiking Gray's Peak tomorrow. 3,750 vertical feet over 8 miles. Wish me luck. I'm going to be breaking 14,000 feet. It's going to be spooky. Ciao.